Hey everybody, Msfs here. So welcome to Ivato in Madagascar. So we're parked over here. Just going to head out to the runway there. So as always, we'll start getting ourselves going. So fire things up. Get the equipment moving. EFIS, radios. Those are the important items, obviously, because they take a bit of time. Then we'll get auto select, auto BP, auto bleed, turn on the fan, the air. All right, flight plan, import from file. Pretty simple. There we go, 4,000 feet. We got one waypoint, not really a waypoint. Set ourselves to
Tower for 1201, Madagascar 1.
Madagascar 105,
5,500.
0461, more Charlie.
Maybe 6,500.
Golf, OD, ready to copy the clearance.
Okay.
OD, Mike Alpha Golf, OD 100, request VFR to Atavanda, expect altitude 8,050 request flight following.
All right. We'll zoom out so you can see as we go. Things will go down somewhat quickly, I suppose. All right. Autopilot is good. Get our trim adjusted. Let's get our engine ready to go. We'll get our RPMs up here. All right. Starter on. Ignition auto. All right. Do about 15. There we go. So again, gets up there a little bit, but then starts coming back down, which is what we need. And then at 50, we move it all the way up. And that will get us going. Flight director, nav. All right, it's still arming. What do I have?
Request, you're number 1.
I see.
Depart VFR, maintain altitude 8,500, depart 128.9, spook 1342, OD, Mike Alpha Golf.
All right, we are set there. I want to get GPS. So we are good. We are running. We'll get flaps down. And we are good to go. So, again, as will be now, probably a few legs more. Just kind of point to point. There is one waypoint, but that's just kind of getting us to cross out of Madagascar at a certain point. So it's just Madagascar coast. So in the SayIntentions flight plan, that is what waypoint 1 is defined as. So we'll see what Sarah ends up sharing. But once we do that, it's basically water, and then we're continuing on. But 453 nautical miles, so it's not quite what you're seeing in Fly Studios bar at the top, because it's not quite direct. We're going a little more north, and then we're going to turn to the left a little bit and go. We're going between Madagascar and Comoros. So we'll finish our short tour of Madagascar by heading north until we hit the coast. The Central Highlands will give way to the coastal plains about 2/3 of the way there. Once we hit the coast, turn to the northwest and head for the island of Nizwani, part of the Comoros Islands. Our destination is Kwani Airfield on the northwest side of the island. You'll need to fly across the mountains, then make your descent over the Indian Ocean to the west of the airstrip, then turn back for a landing on runway 10. The mountains are close by on the eastern side of the runway, so an approach to runway 28 should be avoided if possible. So obviously that is what we will be trying to do. At this point, we are going to release our parking brakes and throttle up. And again, we're headed out that way.
Established for
And out.
runway 11, Air Madagascar 105. Dr. Eva to tower for 1201, Air Madagascar 1.
Ivato Center, November 191 Mike Alpha, requesting VFR to Kwani.
Air Madagascar 105, verify your squawk in 7461, Mod Charlie. November 1 Mike Alpha, on departure, maintain VFR at or below 6,000. Departure on 125.7, squawk 4535.
Maintain VFR at or below 6,000. Departure on 125.7, squawk 4535. November 191 Mike Alpha. All right.
Approaching runway 11.
American 17, read back, correct. Tower will be on 120.1.
Tower 120.1, November 191 Mike Alpha. All right, so here's our turnaround. All right, so we're going to need to adjust this down to 6,000.
On runway 11 remaining 10,000 feet.
All right, we got that. Get the radio. We'll call into tower. We should be set. Oh, and we need 4535 in the squawk. 4535 on. All right. Ivato Tower, November 191 Mike Alpha, runway 11, ready for takeoff.
American 17, Ivato Tower, runway 11, winds calm, cleared for takeoff.
All right. Well, we need to have one setting changed where it's using my sim brief call sign. So that's why it's doing that. So now it's updated. Runway 11, cleared for takeoff, November 191 Mike Alpha. Okay, so let's go. And I am struggling to maintain the line. Speed alive. I like to get near 80 because that's just a nice clean lift off then.
Runway 11 remaining 8,000 feet.
All right, wheels up.
Approaching runway
Flaps up.
11.
All right, and we're gonna get up here. Yaw damper, autopilot, arm. So it should start climbing soon. There we go. We're gonna raise the rate up a little bit just so we can get going. And it should, there we go, start lining up soon. So there's the runway off the wing there, pretty sharp turn. It should turn back a little bit, I think. So it does not look like, I mean, I think we're just not at the line yet. There we go.
Contact departure.
Switching to departure, November 191 Mike Alpha. So, heading out. It's a nice view. We don't have to get too high, I guess, the way we're going. Departure November 191 Mike Alpha with you. Flight level 5300 to 6000. That flight level. Alright, so they've got us. Alright, so 195 nautical miles, as you can see. Basically, not much to say on this flight. Enjoy the 195 miles of land and then the next leg of water. I'll pop in here and there as it might make sense. We'll see if it makes sense to do anything with Sarah or just let Sarah do her thing. But enjoy the ride.
Since we're flying just north of Antananarivo, Madagascar, let me tell you about Ivato International Airport, which we just passed. Opened in 1967, it's the main gateway for international flights into Madagascar, and has seen everything from Air France Concords to the hustle and bustle of local zebu herders bringing produce to the city. The airport is famous for its unique location surrounded by rice paddies, so sometimes you'll spot more ducks than planes on approach. Aviation fans love watching the mix of modern jets and classic turboprops here. Since there aren't any major landmarks right below us, let me tell you about the closest airport, Andrea Mena Airport. It's a small airstrip that serves the rural community of Andrea Mena, and it's a lifeline for the area, connecting remote villages to the rest of Madagascar. These kinds of airstrips are crucial here, especially during the rainy season when roads can turn into mud baths.
November 1 Mike Alpha. You're leaving the Charlie airspace. Remain outside the Charlie. Squawk
Since we're
VFR.
flying over a
Frequency
pretty
change
remote
approved.
part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest city, Msfs. This town sits along the Ikopa River and is known for its gold mining history. Back in the late 1800s, prospectors flocked here hoping to strike it rich, and you can still spot some old mining equipment rusting away if you look closely.
November 1 Mike Alpha. Radar contact. 26 west of Andrea Mena Airport at 6,000 feet. Andrea Mena altimeter 1013.
Since we're flying over a remote area of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest city, Saratanana. This town is nestled near the Betsiboka River and is known for its lush landscapes and proximity to some of Madagascar's most important wildlife habitats. Saratanana is a gateway for researchers and adventurers heading into the Northern Highlands, and it's not uncommon to spot scientists with binoculars and notebooks tracking rare birds and lemurs. The area is also famous for its traditional Malagasy houses, built on stilts to withstand the rainy season floods. Since we're flying over this remote part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the Betsiboka River, which is one of the most striking sights in the region. The Betsiboka is famous for its vivid red color, especially during the rainy season, thanks to massive amounts of sediment washed down from the highlands. This river is a geologist's dream and a bit of a nightmare for environmentalists, since the color comes from soil erosion caused by deforestation. Let me tell you about the closest airport, Bafandriana Airport. This small airstrip is a classic example of Madagascar's rural aviation network. It's not much more than a strip of grass and dirt, but it's a lifeline for the communities in this remote region. During the rainy season, when roads become nearly impassable, these little airports keep people and supplies moving. Since we're flying over northern Madagascar, let me tell you about the Sofia River. This winding river is one of the longest in the region and is famous for its dramatic meanders and oxbow lakes, which look like giant blue ribbons from the air. The river plays a crucial role for local communities, providing water for rice paddies and fishing. During the rainy season, it can swell dramatically, sometimes turning nearby fields into temporary lakes. Since we're flying over this part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest town, Msfs. This town is a key stopover for travelers heading north or south along the main highway. It was established as an administrative center during the French colonial era, and its name means where the sycamore trees are, in Malagasy. Msfs is known for its lively markets and as a base for exploring the nearby Sofia River.
November 1 Mike Alpha. Contact Antananarivo Control on 128.9.
Since we're flying over this part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest town, Mandritsara. This town is tucked away in the northern highlands and is known for its bustling market days, where you can find everything from fresh lychees to handmade baskets. Mandritsara is also a hub for bush pilots, who are basically the rock stars of rural Madagascar, flying in supplies and even medical teams to remote villages. The town's airstrip is a lifeline for the whole region, especially during the rainy season when roads can disappear under mud. Since we're flying through this part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest town, Mbanja. Mbanja is nestled in the fertile Sambirano Valley, which is world famous among chocolate lovers for its unique cocoa beans. The valley's microclimate gives the cocoa a distinct flavor, making it a favorite of gourmet chocolatiers in Europe. Mbanja was established as a trading post in the late 19th century, and you can still see colonial-era buildings dotting the landscape. Since we're in this part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest town, Ambelobe. Ambelobe is known as the gateway to the north and sits along the Msfs River. The town is famous for its sugarcane plantations, which have been here since the French colonial era. So if you spot any vast green fields below, that's probably sugar. Ambelobe is also a jumping-off point for explorers heading to the Singi Rouge, those wild red limestone formations that look like something out of a Dr. Seuss book. Since we're flying over this part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest town, Ambelobe. Ambelobe is known as the gateway to the north and sits along the Mahavavi River. The town is famous for its sugarcane plantations, which have been here since the French colonial era. So if you spot any vast green fields below, that's probably sugar. Ambelobe is also a jumping-off point for explorers heading to the Tsingy Rouge, those wild red limestone formations that look like something out of a Dr. Seuss book. Since we're flying through this part of Madagascar, let me tell you about the closest town, Mbanja. Mbanja is nestled in the fertile Sambirano Valley, which is world famous among chocolate lovers for its unique cocoa beans. The valley's microclimate gives the cocoa a distinct flavor, making it a favorite of gourmet chocolatiers in Europe. Let me tell you about the closest airport, Mbanja Airport. This small airstrip is a vital link for the region, especially during the rainy season when roads can turn into rivers of mud. Built to serve the town of Mbanja and the surrounding cocoa plantations, it's a favorite spot for bush pilots who love a good challenge. Let me tell you about the closest airport, Ambelobe Airport. This little airstrip may not look like much from above, but it's a vital connection for the region. Built to serve the town of Ambelobe and the surrounding sugarcane plantations, it's been keeping people and supplies moving since the days when the only other option was a very bumpy ride on muddy roads. During the rainy season, bush pilots here are basically the superheroes of Madagascar, swooping in with everything from medicine to mail. Let me tell you about the closest airport, Nosy Be Fasten Airport. This airport is the main gateway to the island of Nosy Be, which is a favorite destination for tourists seeking Madagascar's beautiful beaches and marine life. The airport opened in the 1970s and has welcomed everyone from backpackers to luxury travelers. It's famous for its palm-lined runway and the occasional lemur sighting right near the terminal. Pilots enjoy flying in here because of the stunning approach over turquoise waters and lush green forests. Let me tell you about the closest airport, Nosy Be Fasten Airport. This airport is the main gateway to the island of Nosy Be, which is a favorite destination for tourists seeking Madagascar's beautiful beaches and marine life. The airport opened in the 1970s and has welcomed everyone from backpackers to luxury travelers. Let me tell you about the closest airport, Dzaoudzi-Pamandzi International Airport. This airport is unique because it's built on a tiny island, Petite Terre in the Mayotte archipelago. Opened in 1977, it's the main gateway for travelers coming to explore the volcanic landscapes and coral reefs of Mayotte. Let me tell you about the closest city, Mamoudzou. Mamoudzou is the capital of Mayotte, and it's actually spread out along the coast with a stunning view of the Indian Ocean. The city was established as the administrative center when Mayotte became a French overseas department in 2011. But its roots go back much further, with settlements here for centuries. Let me tell you about the closest city, Akua. Akua is a small coastal town on the northwest side of Mayotte, and it's famous for its dramatic volcanic hills and lush green landscapes. The town is a favorite among hikers and birdwatchers who come to spot rare species that only live on this island. Akua is also known for its traditional ilang-ilang distilleries. Ilang-ilang is a flower used in perfumes, and you might catch a whiff of its sweet scent drifting up to our altitude. The coastline here is dotted with tiny fishing boats, and if you look closely, you might see locals hauling in their daily catch. Let me tell you about the closest town, Mutsamudu. Mutsamudu is the oldest town in the Comoros, founded in 1482, and is famous for its ancient Medina, an 18th century citadel. The town has weathered pirate attacks, cyclones, and even a few volcanic eruptions over the centuries. Its winding streets are lined with whitewashed houses, and you can sometimes spot the old cannons still pointing out to sea, just in case any pirates decide to try their luck again. From the air, the town hugs the coastline, and you might even spot the bustling port where traditional dhows still come and go.
Alright, so at this point, I think we're going to want to go on heading. And we're going to head over the island here. Because coming in on runway 10, as it's suggested, requires us to be over the ocean. So, I might need a little bit of height here. So, we'll go ahead and start doing that. We'll zoom this out because, yeah, right now, obviously, we've got to climb a bit. I think I'm pointing up enough, and yeah, the red is receding, which is what we want. We probably don't need to go quite as high as I did. I'm thinking probably even 3,500 is enough. So we'll do that, and we'll pop on over, and hopefully come in and land. What I don't know is there's a bit of the island that I'm gonna ultimately want to pop over. Not quite sure how things will come with that, but we'll figure it out as we go. Hopefully you've enjoyed the journey as we've gone. Alright, so we are, I don't know, 6 miles from passing, basically, in essence, downwind from the airport. We're not quite on the appropriate heading, but we're pretty close. We can certainly bring this over a little bit here, because we know that point of the island is less, but the airport is there, so we, in essence, need to skirt around these mountains. There's no point in climbing and going back down, because, yeah, that one peak, the tallest one, I think is 5,233 feet. Obviously, we're only at 3,500. If we can avoid having to climb, that will probably be helpful. So again, we'll get ourselves turned so that we're heading closer. You can see we're, 11.6 miles, but we're not really gaining because we're just coming along. But now we are coming more north that we need. But we're here in Comoros, so another country here in Africa that's just an island nation, all that kind of stuff. So let's see. This should be good. And again, we'll just peek over the end. We're still flying away from the airport. We have now passed the airport. Even though it kind of doesn't look like it, but basically we're kind of coming in, like runway 10 is going to be that way, so. Again, I'm looking at Navigraph a bit. Alright, just zooming that in so I've got a little bit cleaner view. Obviously, we want to go ahead and land as quickly as we can, but... Alright, so at this point...
Let me tell you about the closest town, Sima. Sima is one of the main towns on the island of Anjouan in the Comoros. It's known for its dramatic volcanic backdrop and its bustling port, which has been a hub for local trade for centuries.
Goodness.
The town is surrounded by lush hills and banana plantations, and if you look closely from above, you might spot the winding roads that snake up into the mountains. Sima is also famous for its Friday market, where you can find everything from fresh fish to handmade baskets.
Alright, so once we cross the island, then we'll go down, and as it said, we're coming in from the Indian Ocean. So I am gonna cut this off so that we start losing that. We're gonna drop our gear, and we are gonna start plummeting to Earth. Because at this point, we should be pretty good. But yeah, it's like, it's gonna be right there somewhere, because we're 6 miles away. We're gonna pull this back. Hopefully lose a good amount of height here. And we're maintaining about 6 miles out. It's not the easiest thing to see, I'll tell you that. Alright, so... yeah, I understand why they suggested not coming in this way, or the other way. Because, yeah, you'd have to basically, like, dive bomb in. Let's see. Let's get ourselves there. Alright. Get ourselves nice and low. No sink. We're good. Alright, and then we're going to want to turn and get about at 110 here, so... Alright, so we're going to try to get this figured out. I think it's right there. We can see it. So... just position myself a little bit better. But yeah, we want to kind of get there. I probably should put up my landing monitor. It'll just help. And then we'll know how high we are. Alright, so we'll kind of cross the line, come back in where we can get a good view. And there it is. But, wow. Very cool airport. But... lots of fun. Alright, 3 miles, a little over 3 miles out at 100 knots. It obviously shouldn't take us super long, a couple minutes. And then we'll hopefully be on the ground and good to go. 500 feet, so we'll
500.
Maybe speed up a little bit. About 2.5 miles now. Beautiful water, which is not uncommon for flight sim, but I love the reflection of the mountains and all that. This has got to be a pretty glorious approach. I don't think it's a super long runway, so there is that. Okay, 1.5 miles out, 200 feet. I'll kind of aim a little bit. I just feel like I'm a little high here. but definitely the runway. Just kind of tucked amongst the trees. Gonna back this off. 150 feet.
Let me tell you about the
100.
closest city, Domini. Domini is one of the oldest towns on the island of Anjouan in the Comoros, and it's famous for its centuries-old stone houses and narrow, winding streets. The town was once a major trading port, and you can still see the influence of Arab, Persian, and Swahili traders in its architecture. Domoni is also known for its ancient mosques, some of which date back to the 15th century. Imagine the stories those walls could tell. If you look closely from above, you might spot the old city walls and the patchwork of red-tiled roofs.
All right, we are down, and we are here. Welcome to Comoros. Beautiful. Very nice. I'm sure it's a lovely place to live.
Approaching runway 10.
To some degree, I'm sure things are expensive because they're islands. I'm sure they can't make a whole lot of things locally. You know, there's only so much space after all. But here we are. So, pop the brakes on, turn everything off, and, you know, we'll get the continue, and we'll be good. And we are set. So, welcome. But yeah, I mean, that's the runway, so you can't really land the other way. I mean, they did say, like, go down here and leave that way, unless you really have no choice. But that would be a pretty drastic choice to have, so, but yeah, this is one of the more scenic spots. Now, out of here, we just leave Comoros, you know, peek the next leg. The next leg is also just point to point. No waypoints at all, where this one at least had one to kind of get us to fly in a certain direction. The next one's just point to point, a little over 500 miles, I believe, so time-wise it's probably going to be similar. And that'll get us back onto the continent. So we're kind of done with Madagascar and Comoros, and we'll be moving on. If you have not liked or subscribed, please consider that. I try to put these up every Saturday. Been pretty diligent about it. Probably coming up on, I don't know, this is leg 52, I think, but I didn't start them all, so it's not quite a year that I've been doing them on Saturdays. But definitely enough that it's in the habit. I know I need to get the flight done sometime during the week. And again, another point-to-point is easy enough. And then we do have another, the next leg follows the river, but again, I don't know if the waypoints are simply to follow the river, and there's still really not much for Sarah to tell us about, but we'll discover that in a couple weeks. I will see you next time.